Holmes gets a block from Richardson in the backfield. 15, 10, 5, juking right, touchdown!
Okay, perfect. So we're going to do another mock draft today. And this time we are going to do a mock draft rounds 1 through 3 for the Minnesota Vikings. And so we're going to go ahead and get started right here. Just as a reminder that there are no trades in this mock draft. It is just rounds 1 through 3 as the picks currently are set. So we won't be doing any trades. And so we'll go ahead and get started with the Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings are an interesting team in the draft because they did just get a first-round pick from the Buffalo Bills because they did trade star wide receiver Stephon Diggs. So they do have 2 picks in this draft in the first round. So they got 2 picks in the first round at pick 22 and pick 25. So they're going to be able to get 2 of their guys that they want pretty much back-to-back. And so I think they're in an excellent position because the Bills' draft pick is pretty close to where their draft pick was. And so we look at their team needs right here, like cornerback, wide receiver, edge rusher. And so cornerback and wide receiver are both really, really deep in this class. And so I'm not going to spend our first pick on it. Our second pick will probably go cornerback. Look at there, but our first pick at pick 22, I think, is we go off get an edge rusher. Because we're going to have guys like this, K'Lavon Chaisson or Yetur Gross-Matos. So if these 2 guys are available here for us, for the Vikings as a real draft, that would be perfect. So they're able to go ahead and get the edge rusher of their choice, whichever edge rusher they're higher on. And then as well, pick 25, address a different concern as we'll see in this mock draft. So for this first draft, our first draft pick, we're going to go K'Lavon Chaisson right here at LSU. I'm sure I'm probably butchering that name, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and draft him here with our first pick, and then we're up again 3 picks later at pick 25. So this is perfect. So looking at the cornerback position, which is what we need to target next, we didn't really miss out on that at all. So any of the cornerback that was available to us at pick 22, we see here the Pats and the Saints both went wide receiver. And so the cornerback here is our choice. We have Jalen Johnson, Noah Igbinoghene, or A.J. Terrell. And so Jalen Johnson, I think, was a great cornerback at the University of Utah this year. And so to bump up our defense there, we do need to better our defense. We look at the division they're in with the Packers, with the Lions, with the Bears. And so to have a stronger defense to get after the quarterback and to cover those wide receivers, I think would be perfect. So we're going to go Jalen Johnson right here with our second pick in the first round. And so we really address our defensive concerns there in the first round, pretty much essentially back-to-back picks. So that's fantastic. And so we'll see maybe if they trade back maybe in the real draft. I wouldn't necessarily do that because the picks are so close together. They're able to get pretty much 2 guys they want in the first round on the 5th-year option. And so I think that's a no-brainer for any NFL team basically, especially because it's that close. It's not on the farther end of the draft of the first round, like 30, 31, 32. So they're sitting really pretty there. And so with our next pick, and our first pick in the second round at pick 58, so we address the cornerback and edge position. Wide receiver is pretty deep. Let's take a look at the wide receiver position right here. So we have Michael Pittman Jr., who I love, Laviska Shenault Jr. or T. Higgins. We also need some interior offensive lineman depth. Let's go ahead and take a look at that with Matt Hennessy, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis. So because the wide receiver depth is pretty deep in this draft, I'm not going to go wide receiver here because we'll be able to pick one up later in the draft for sure. So unless they're really in love with a guy right here that they just really want for their team, like I said before, they did lose Stephon Diggs, but they still have Adam Thielen, who's going to be the clear wide receiver 1 now. They have some good tight ends, and so they do need another wide receiver, but they can pick that up later in the draft, maybe even round 3, when some high caliber wide receivers are still available. So we're going to go interior offensive line right here and pick up Matt Hennessy from Temple. Just provide depth there for Kirk Cousins. Keep him protected as well as open up lanes for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was a stud last year, both running the ball and receiving out of the backfield. So the more lanes and gaps that they have open for him, the more he'll be able to run and pound. And so we're going to go Matt Hennessy here with our first pick in the second round. And then later on, we'll be able to address, hopefully the wide receiver position is still get a pretty good caliber guy. We'll go in and watch the wide receivers right here as they come off. So it looks like at pick 89, we should have our choice of wide receivers right here. And we do. So our choice of wide receivers right here are Donovan Peoples-Jones, Bryan Edwards, Van Jefferson. So it looks like Donovan Peoples-Jones is pretty much the clear-cut choice right here. We'll look at his draft summary. He says Peoples-Jones is going to be a much better pro than he was a college player at Michigan. Well, that's good. The Wolverines' offense failed to provide Peoples-Jones with the targets and touches his skills and ability demanded. He was open much more often than he was targeted. He will bring consistency in the return game, but he should make a big jump as a big slot receiver at the next level. Teams looking to implement spread sets should prioritize targeting him for their offense thanks to his versatility. So perfect. He's he's strong, he's fast, he's versatile, a big slot guy, big presence there. And in college, like he said, he was working with a less than competent quarterback. And so with Kirk Cousins, he'll be able to go ahead and get those reps and get those catches there in the game, especially with the majority of people probably trying to cover Adam Thielen. He'll be able to be up there in the slot, a big target to get catches and add production. So we're going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones right here. We really like Van Jefferson as well, but we're going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones right here with our pick in the 3rd round. And then we do have one last pick in the 3rd round, second to last pick 105, to continue to address some concerns. So if we did skip on our wide receiver, we did have Van Jefferson available, who I really like. But we already got receiver, so let's go ahead and look at the interior defensive line or offensive tackle. That's who we have left. So we have Rashad Lawrence, Lucky Fotu here. Rashad Lawrence, pretty good prospect. Let's look at offensive tackle to see who we have there. Ben Barch. So it's pretty much who we want, I think, because we did address the interior offensive line, so I think we should address the defensive line as well, because we need to get after quarterbacks in that division. Matthew Stafford, Mitchell Trubisky, especially Aaron Rodgers, the more pressure we have on them, the more uncomfortable they'll be in the pocket, the more mistakes they'll make. And so we do have a pretty good back end. We did get rid of Xavier Rhodes, but we were able to replace him with Jalen Johnson. And so with Harrison Smith there in the backfield, we have a good back end of our DBs. So we'll go ahead and address the interior defensive lineman with Rashad Lawrence right here with our final pick in the 3rd round. And so that was the picks 1 through 3. Let's go ahead and review to make sure we did fairly well. So the team needs we had were cornerback, wide receiver, edge, interior offensive lineman, interior defensive lineman. We were able to hit all of those. So we do have 5 picks the Vikes do in the first 3 rounds. And so with our first pick, we were able to get a fantastic edge rusher in Levon Chaisson to come off the edge, get pressure in Aaron Rodgers' face, make him uncomfortable, and then as well as upgrade the DB position with Jalen Johnson, who's going to be a great asset then for the team. With Mike Zimmer, very defensive-minded coach, he'll be perfect there. And with Matt Hennessy and the interior offensive line, strengthen that line to keep Cousins on his feet, open holes for Dalvin Cook, and then we gave Cousins another option in Donovan Peoples-Jones, as well as added more strength on the interior defensive line for Rashad Lawrence. And so that would be rounds 1 through 3 mock draft of the Minnesota Vikings.